Welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer. At the present time, we are taking a close look at an article entitled Teresian Prayer, published in the Carmel Clarion in March of 2011 and written by Carmelite friars. So at present, we are on Chapter 5, Teresian Teaching on Prayer. So prayer is learned by practice. Therefore, the immediate concern of St. Teresa was to teach how to pray in order to make a praying person. Prayer is a gift, but it is granted to a free person. What this means is that, like every seed, prayer needs soil and care to grow and to mature. The Way is the book par excellence on Teresian prayer. The internal arrangement of the book reveals the intention of the author. She spends a long time explaining the things necessary for those who seek to advance on the way of prayer. She knows how anxious her readers are for her to speak to them about prayer, and yet every so often Teresa gets sidetracked. Yes, that is true. Teresa, however, is very categorical. No one can be a contemplative without the following virtues: the virtue of charity, or love of neighbor, the second commandment; detachment from the world around us and attachment to God; and then finally, humility or faith when it comes to God, or the first commandment. So that is again charity, detachment, and humility. Anyone who thinks differently, Teresa says, is very mistaken. On the contrary, anyone practicing these virtues will be very advanced in the service of the Lord, even though the person is not very contemplative. That is to say, even though the prayer as such is poor and does not reach mystical states. So how are we to present the teaching of the Holy Mother, Teresa of Avila? Well, we believe that we can say that for her to teach prayer is to teach someone how to live, or simply how to be. It is not a question of teaching a technique, not as such, and then only in a secondary way, but it is rather a matter of renewing the person inwardly. To make someone a person of prayer is to pay attention to the person praying. With this basis, Teresa shows herself very consistent and very logical in her definition of prayer. She states that prayer is an intimate, friendly sharing, a radical and total option for God. In this way, the three things necessary aim directly at promoting attitudes which define the new man, the friend of God, while at the same time being radically opposed to sinful man who is no friend of God. Amen. So let me just add one more time that the three virtues that Teresa insists upon in the first 18 chapters of the Way of Perfection are charity, the second commandment, love of neighbor, detachment from the world around us, and attachment to the eternal, and finally humility in dealing with God. So charity, detachment, and humility. So I hope you're enjoying following along, and we will continue with this chapter very soon. So may God bless you and yours. Amen. Okay.